جيران يعني يجي لنا كده باستمرار بنعمة المسيح زي ما اتفقنا قبل كده. اكسايتد ان احنا نسمع ابونا وناخد البركه.
Abuna is very loving, and I'm sure you know him very well. And I'm indebted to Abuna all my life for his love and his guidance and everything that I know I attribute to Abuna. It's very hard to speak when Abuna is here, and I always feel bad for Abuna because I don't know how he does it. But out of obedience, I always say yes to Abuna in anything that he asks. I feel how you feel. When I was thinking, because I didn't have a specific topic given to me, of what to speak about. It's Bible, you have Abuna. Statistics, you have Abuna. It's liturgy, you have Abuna. I don't know what to say. So I figured maybe the safest thing is to speak about service and life of a certain saint. And I was between Saint Macarius, which is the saint that I personally was consecrated a monk on the feast of Saint Macarius, and the church that I serve in is the Church of Saint Macarius, or Saint Paul, which is the monastery that I came from. But when I came here, Abuna gave me a gift and had a picture of Saint Macarius, so I said, we'll speak about Saint Macarius. So first, I will speak about his life, the life of Saint Macarius, and then after that, we'll take one lesson from his life that applies to service, and that is good for us. There are three Saint Macariuses that we know, at least that we speak about commonly. There's Saint Macarius the Great, which is the one that we're going to speak about. There's Saint Macarius who was a bishop, and there's a Saint Macarius who was a monk, and he's also known as Saint Macarius of Alexandria. We'll speak about Saint Macarius the Great, Abu Ma'ar, or the famous one that we all speak about. The two feasts of Saint Macarius, one is in April, which is the one that we all became monks on, and there's one in August as well. Saint Macarius was born. He had a father named Abraham and a mother named Sarah, similar to the Abraham and Sarah, also was barren, similar to Abraham and Sarah. And after much prayer, God gave them Saint Macarius around 300 AD. His parents, his dad was a priest, and because of a robbery that happened, his house was attacked. He had to move to a place called Monofea in Egypt. He lived there, and for a while he lived there, and then after a while, the priest of the city that he was in got sick, and an angel appeared to him and told him that he will have a kid. That priest, which is Saint Macarius's father, God told him he's going to have a kid. So they eventually had Saint Macarius. Saint Macarius, known from his young age to be a calm boy. His character was just a calm person in general. And at a certain age, when he was old enough, he got married against his will. His parents wanted him to marry, and he was not ready to marry, so he got married against his will. After that, he left for a retreat because it was not something that he was comfortable with. So he went on retreat. He went and he found in the desert a cherubim appearing to him. Until this day, the monks know where the area is, and they call it the Hill of the Cherubim because it's known to be a place where Saint Macarius received that. And the cherubim spoke to him about how this monastery will be filled with monks, and this area will be filled with monks, and how they will be children to him. And then when he returned, he found that his wife had died. And then short period after time, that his parents also died. So he chose to give up all that he had and give to the poor and start this concept of monasticism as we know it now. He didn't have it in mind. He didn't know it like St. Anthony maybe had already started, but he just started living aspects of it. And after all, monasticism is living Christian life. It's not living anything different. If it's following the commandments, if it's being ascetic, if it's fasting, if it's praying, it's all Christian characteristics. It's not something only unique to monasticism. And then at one point of time, they came and they took him against his will and made him a priest in the town that he was living in. So he became the priest of the town. And then he said to himself, now that I'm the priest of this town, I have to act like it. So he left the house that he was living in the outskirts of the city. He moved closer. He started serving. He was loved by many. And then there was a girl in the town that, lived an unholy life. And she made a mistake. She got pregnant with someone from outside. And as you know, in the Middle Eastern culture or Christian culture, this is a major thing. It's not something to overlook. So she didn't know what to do. So in her fear, she said, this priest is the one that did this to me. And he did this with me against my will. It's a huge accusation. And the people that loved him, that cared for him, that always looked at him as a father, stumbled by him. But because of the previous incident that I mentioned, him being married and no longer his wife there, they believed it. Because they said, well, maybe he longed to get married. And now that his wife is dead, he longed for a relationship. So when that accusation came, a lot of hurt came from the people towards St. Macarius. And he told himself, I have to work now harder in order to provide for this future wife that I have, or future child that I have, and be able to give. And he accepted this accusation. Then, after a while, he has the girl is due and is ready to deliver. So as she was in labor, she's unable to deliver. She tries many times, she's unable to deliver. So at one point, and as you know, when there's pain in our life, our spiritual life starts changing. When there's something very difficult in our life, we start recalling all the mistakes that we made. And in our weakness, we assume that God is maybe punishing us because of a sin that we've done. So we start reviewing and recalling all the different things to say, oh, maybe it's happening because of this and this and this. And because of the pain of her unable to deliver, she said, I accused this man falsely. It was not this man, it was another man. And when that happened, she was able to deliver. And after she delivered, everyone was very excited. They said, oh, this man is a holy man. This man is, they accepted this accusation and they went to praise him and they went to, say that you are a priest. We're sorry for what you have done and wanted to give him all the love that he deserves. So, like a true Christian, he ran away from unnecessary pride and unnecessary praise. So led him to the desert. He went back to that hill of the cherubim and he started living the monastic life. We know that he also visited St. Anthony and received many instructions from him. Many children came around him. St. Moses came around him. St. Isidore was the priest of the area around him. Maximus and Domedius, many from the story of the paradise of children that came and lived around St. Macarius. And at one point of time, he was exiled because he believed he didn't want to accept Arianism. He was exiled, and then he was eventually returned again, and he died in the desert. Now, in his life, there are many events. many teaching moments. I'll focus on one, and maybe we'll shortly speak about the second one. One of the main characteristics that we see in the life of Saint Macarius is that he was someone that covers for others. The first story that I mentioned is the story of the girl that was pregnant. He covered for her sin. He saw her in weakness. He saw that an accusation came. And even though it was going to make him look bad, even though it was going to make him be, no longer a priest, look down upon everyone, work twice as hard to provide for himself and her, he still chose to cover for her. A second story in the life of Saint Macarius, we see that he had a disciple, and the disciple, he told him, go to church and I'll come after you. So as he was going to church, that disciple saw a man, a pagan priest, cutting wood. So the disciple, in his zeal, a young monk, seeing another person worshiping idols, he's cutting wood so he can take it, so I can offer, to the idols. He cursed him. He said, what are you doing wasting your time and your energy worshiping a God that doesn't exist? So the pagan priest, what did he do? He beat him up. And then the monk left, the younger monk, or the disciple. Then Saint Macarius is following, an old man walking. He saw the same exact scene. And instead of seeing the sin and exposing the sin, that this person is like, look at you. You're a young man full of energy and full of strength. And he covered. And he didn't see. His eyes weren't able to see the weakness. So that pagan priest stopped and he's like, who are you? He's like, he's like, there's a guy that looks like you, dressed like you, acts like you, that saw me do the same exact thing. And when he saw me doing that, he said the bad. But you saw me do the same thing and you saw the good. And he's like, I want to learn more about you. And the story says that he eventually also became a Christian and also joined in the desert. Now there's another story also of Saint Macarius with the same concept. For Saint Macarius was told by the monks that there's a monk in the monastery that has a lady in his cell. Very harsh thing. There are many problems with that. There's a problem that he's a monk. There's a problem that there's a lady in the monastery. There's a problem that there's a lady in the monastery in his cell. There's a problem that it's causing other people to judge him. There's a problem with the act of sin itself. Saint Macarius has to take action. He is responsible for all these people. And he has to save every single one of them. So what did he do? He said, okay, let's go. So he goes with them. So they enter, and as the monk hears all this, he hides the lady in a basket, under a basket. So imagine maybe something like this. So he opens it, he puts her, and then he closes it. So all the monks are coming in, and Saint Macarius comes in, and then Saint Macarius does what? He finds that spot, and he sits on it. And he tells them, okay, go search the cell, see if you can find the lady. So they all go, search the cell. The monk's cell is not that big. Can't really hide anything in it. They don't find anything. So they come back, and they say, we can't find anything. Saint Macarius is like, okay, apologize for your brother and leave. So they apologize for the brother, and they leave. And then Saint Macarius gets up. The brother knows exactly what Saint Macarius is doing. And he tells him, sin no more, similar to the words of Christ. And then it's said that brother eventually let her go, came, confessed his sin, and never fell in it again. In all the three stories, we see the compassion of Saint Macarius with the mistakes of others, something Abuna always teaches me. And it's easy, and Abuna, as he was telling me today, like it's easy to know and be compassionate when you see the weakness of someone. But it's hard when you expect highly from someone and you see his weakness. That compassion has to be equal. When I have in my service someone that I expect more from, I have to be compassionate. When I see something in one of the kids that I serve that requires me to reprimand or to judge or to hurt, Saint Macarius teaches is compassion. Saint Macarius always shows that love is higher than correction. To make someone feel loved is more important or is more effective than to make someone feel punished or correct or needs correction. In everything he covered for the sins of others. Even in the Thanksgiving prayer, we say what? We thank God for what? For covering us. So if God is covering us, do we expose others? You say, oh, well, if you keep that and you hide that from people, then the person is going to keep doing it. That's the first excuse. Oh, we're doing it for their sake. That's true. You're doing it for their sake. But have you tried loving them first? I'm not saying ignore the mistakes completely and pretend that this, but see, before correction comes love. How can I see if I love first before I correct? And if I do, would that be good enough? Before I assume that there is no way out, and so before I assume that the right thing is to be harsh, Saint Macarius always teaches that the right thing is to love. And first, to love. I imagine Saint Macarius, when he was sitting, and Saint Moses came. Saint Moses, huge man, dark skin, known to be someone evil. Saint Macarius was compassionate first. Saint Macarius covered his sins first. Similar to Saint Barnabas when he took Saint Paul to introduce him to the disciples so they can trust him. How can I cover first before I correct? How can I love first before I reprimand? Saint Macarius teaches that in all of his dealings. That's the main point. A secondary point is a story that is not unique to Saint Macarius, but known to many of the other followers. There was one point where Saint Macarius thought that he achieved spiritual excellence, or he thought in himself that he knows it all, or that he thought in himself that what he's doing as a monk in this life or in this lifestyle is higher than other people. So God told him, go, and I will show you someone better than you. Our mind always goes to Saint Anthony. And if someone is going to be better than Saint Macarius, it's going to be Saint Anthony. He said, no, go to the city. Saint Macarius says, you want me to find someone better than me? And he's in the city? He's like, yes, go to the city. He's like, are you sure you don't want me to go to the other side, like more deeper in the desert? You get better when you go there. He's like, no, go to the city. So, goes to the city. He says, knock on this house. He's like, they live in the city, like in the house? He's like, yeah. So he knocks. He's like, there are two ladies in that. They're better than you. He's like, and they're ladies? He's like, yes. And they're married? Yes. And they have children? Yes. So he's like, what's your story? So he goes, he knocks. He's like very amazed by them. Like, what is this? Who are you? So they say, we are two ladies that are married to brothers. And our brothers go, or our husbands go in the morning to work. We spend the rest of the day in prayer. We each have a child. No matter which child cries, the other one picks him up, nurses him if he needs nursing, and then she puts him down. Well, the other one is free. And we take turns that way. We never quarrel, we never fight. We live in peace with our husbands, and we raise our kids as if they're both our kids. St. Macarius looked at this and said, that's better than me? He's like, yeah, that's better than you. If we were to reflect on this story, instead of ranking people, and also Abuna would teach me this, look at the faithfulness in each one in his own role. They were faithful in the role that they're in. Instead of saying this person is better than this person because he does this, this, and that. Abuna is telling me that if you fail in math class and the other person fails in science class, I mean, you're both failing. So instead of comparing that way, you say, no, these people were faithful in whatever that they were doing. Just like the person with the 5 talents and the 2 talents. The one that was faithful, God called him faithful. Not because of how much he was able to accomplish, because one accomplished more than another. But they were both faithful, because whatever they were given, they did well in. So St. Macarius, not only was he compassionate to other people, he learned very early in his monasticism that faithfulness is a key. So if we were to take 2 lessons from his life to apply to our service, 1, that compassion and love is above correction, and 2, that faithfulness in what I do is what's important, not comparing myself to other people. So may God give us always to benefit from the saints and to not hear their names and forget about their stories, or not know their stories and not live it. But the saints are there for us to learn from how to approach Christ, and how to not only learn from their life, but also learn from their mistakes so we don't fall into the same things. And it saves us, the struggle that they went through, and it gives us a step ahead. So that way we don't always have to start from zero. We take parts of their life and they make us start ahead. And St. Macarius learned from other people before him, and we learn from him so that we continue teaching the ones after us. To God be the glory, now forever and to the age of all ages. Amen. Any questions? That's easy.
That's it.
Thank you.
Obviously, learn from Abuna. And as I said it before, we want Abuna to come more often. He's close to us. وهنتعبوا معانا بس يجينا كتير بنعمة ربنا. كنت عايز to remind you إن tomorrow the liturgy from 5 to 7. يعني 7 إن شاء الله تبقوا في الباركنج لوت عشان اللي رايح شغل ولا حاجة إن شاء الله. وأبونا هيباركنا في القداس بكرة إن شاء الله. This Saturday we have a liturgy, but it is a feast. The feast of the entry of our Lord Jesus into the temple. This Saturday, 40 days of nativity. القداس هو 7:30 God willing. On Sunday we have 2 liturgies. We are going to the monastery on March 8th. عشان تبقوا يعني مفكرين من بدري بنعمة ربنا. لو عندكم أي سؤال، لو عندكم أي حاجة خاصة بالخدمة